Drive safe. Time to hit the road. Never mind. I'll find a new route. Get ready to turn right. Turn right. Finding a new route. Let's go! Turn right. Get ready to turn left. Turn left. Go straight on. 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 Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right. Keep left, and then continue straight on. Go straight on.
Asylum claims tested and failed, has kind of come to Italy anyway, because the countries that they would be returned to, Bangladesh and Egypt, are not safe. The whole of Egypt is not a safe country. You can look on even our Foreign Office say there are parts of Egypt that are not safe for you to go to. They don't recommend you travel to them because there are some pretty nasty people there who will get involved with it from there. I think it was a bit of a surprise to you from being to Egypt on very strange, doesn't it? So in that as it has done here, about who gets to decide what countries are safe for people to be sent back to, whether that should be governments or whether that should be the courts. And I think it is fast coming to the point where there are other European nations, not just Italy, there are other countries that are looking at these kinds of schemes too, who will say the judges in this area are going too far, that those countries should have the right to say, we believe these nations are safe, here are the reasons why we believe these nations are safe, particularly the countries that you can go on holiday to. We think the people whose asylum claims are rejected should be sent back to those countries. Otherwise, no one's going to go anywhere. Otherwise, what's the point in an asylum application? If your asylum application fails and you're brought back to the country where you're trying to claim asylum in, even though it's failed, because you can't be sent back to a, quote, safe country because a judge has deemed it unsafe. But, you might as well just bring everybody in who wants to come in. And I don't think that's a process that people want or is very sustainable. 03456060973. Who should have that right to say which countries are safe, the government or the courts? And should Keir Starmer now drop any potential interest in this Italian scheme? Come to your thoughts in a few moments. Tom Swarbrick here, 5:15, headlines now at Media Colt.
Sir Keir Starmer says the arrest of a man suspected of supplying boats for Channel crossing says it's a significant piece of the jigsaw. A former Met police officer has denied 9 sex offences against a woman and a teenage girl. And Chancellor Rachel Reeves is preparing for her Mansion House speech, where she will announce major pension reform. LBC weather, a clear night for north-east Scotland and central southern England and Wales. Cloudy in the northwest, lows are freezing.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. There are severe delays on the M25 clockwise from junction 22 for St Albans round to junction 25 for Enfield after a car broke down earlier. There are also long delays on the M25 anti-clockwise from junction 3 for the M20 to the Dartford Tunnel after an accident earlier. In the east of town, there are severe delays on Aspen Way eastbound because of the roadworks before the East India Dock Tunnel. It is slow in Hackney. Westgate Street is closed in both directions between Broadway Market and Sheep Lane because of a police investigation. There are long delays on the A127 Southend Arterial Road eastbound. It stays partly blocked between the Great Whalley turn-off and Childerditch Lane because a lorry has caught fire. And on the train southeastern, I have cancellations between Charing Cross and London Bridge after some safety checks.
This is LBC.
This Christmas at Tesco, get a 180-gram bag of Doritos, now just £1.65, down from £2.50 with your Tesco Club card. Helping feed your Christmas spirit. Tesco, every little helps. Majority of larger stores, and 3rd of December, Club card or app required.
Call Tom Swarbrick, 0345 6060 973. This is LBC.
Ready to say yes, I invest?
I save, but I've always wanted to get into investing.
I like working towards a goal. It's quite satisfying.
Whether you're an experienced investor or just starting out, Lloyds has it all. Ready-made investments taken care of by experts to a wide range of pick-your-own options. Plus, you can do it all in their app, making investing with Lloyds the next thing you do. Search Lloyds Ways to Invest. Capital and risk account fees and charges apply.
For GCSE and A-level success, one name stands out. Justin Craig. Small, tailored group tuition that really works. Justin Craig courses consolidate knowledge, boost confidence and improve technique for mocks, assessments and exams. Available in classrooms and online. One-to-one also available. With over 40 years experience, Justin Craig has helped more than 100,000 students. For more details, visit justincraig.ac.uk. Justin Craig, tailored for you.
Emergency ambulance. Is the patient breathing?
I've hit a man in my car. He's not moving. I didn't think I was going that fast.
Is he awake?
I don't think so. I was only going 20-ish.
Okay, what's the address?
Church Road by the theatre.
Right, the ambulance crew are on their way.
I'm so sorry.
Stay calm. I need you to help him. I'm going to tell you what to do.
Please. He's not going to die, is he? I was only going a bit over.
Speeding injures or kills over 1,000 people in London every year. Slow down. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Cathay Pacific has been crowned the world's best economy class airline. And we'll be the first to admit we did make the awards judges very comfortable. Yes, they were provided ample food and drink. And sure, they were given advanced access to the latest film releases. We may have also offered them hot towels. Because this Skytrax Airline Award was voted for by passengers like you. Cathay Pacific. Move beyond.
This is LBC. Message Tom Swarbrick on WhatsApp now on 0345 6060 973.
5:18 the time. Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. The government delighted that the migrant gangs are at least, well, not smashed, but certainly being deteriorated by the fact that a man has been arrested today accused of being a major supplier of boats for those people smugglers operating those crossings. We'll wait and see what happens to that man once the arrest has been made and the charge is laid. But the UK's National Crime Agency involved with the Dutch and the Belgians in picking this guy up. Who's,
let's find a new route.
Accused of shipping dinghies and engines from Turkey, putting them in Germany and then moving them to northern France for those crossings. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer's looking at other plans to try and deter those huge numbers of crossings that are still being made, including Italy's proposal of processing those that they pick up at sea in a third country, assessing their claim of asylum there, and then if their claim is accepted, they go to Italy. If it's not, they go to a country that is deemed safe. In the case of the first group of men that have arrived at these centres, groups of men from Bangladesh and Egypt, their asylum claims having failed, a judge has ruled, a court has ruled that Egypt and Bangladesh are not safe enough for those men to be sent to. And as Mike says here, Tom, I'm confused. If they failed an asylum assessment, they must be deemed okay to go back. The European Court of Justice are then saying there is no point in processing them. Well, quite. Armando's in Lewisham. Armando.
Hi. Thanks for having me in your show.
Keep right and then exit right.
With the Albania deal, and it's been proven to be extremely expensive.
Yes.
Not worth
Go
the
straight on.
At all. The
Keep left.
you're citing is about 16 people.
Yep.
And just for comparison in numbers, the number that come ashore in any island in the Mediterranean are in the thousands.
Yep.
And they will never be able to be processed, all of them, in this centre, despite the official announcements. And more importantly, the cost of all of this is exorbitant.
Absolutely.
We're talking about thousands of euros per person being processed, and this is not including the deportation costs.
Armando, you are lighting on the very issues that were around for the UK's version of this, the Rwanda plan. Because it doesn't seem that even being processed in a third country would in any way act as a deterrent. You're still having your claim processed.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Can you imagine? You just
keep left.
Something for what? 20, 100, 500 people, and it takes some time to process it. Sometimes instantly. The day after, you have 1,000 people disembarking. The day after, another 2,000 people disembarking. So it looks like the medicine is just not efficient.
Well,
it doesn't cure the disease.
So even if, so wherever the people are processed, I agree with you about third country processing. I'm not sure how much it works in acting as a deterrent or in speedily processing people, but I think the issue for the Italian government and for people who are worrying about this issue is, regardless of where they're processed, even in a set of circumstances where the asylum application has been rejected and where the countries of origin of the people who have had that claim rejected are deemed to be safe by the government, judge says they can't be sent back.
Yes, because this is a much more of a legal thing. If I'm coming from a country, or I'm a citizen of a country that is deemed to be unsafe,
finding a new route.
I shouldn't be able to be deported in a country that somebody says is unsafe. Now the point becomes, who has the final say on the country's safety? Yeah. And this is a very legal thing on which everybody can have an idea. But definitely, if people are coming from a country where they can't be returned to, processing them is useless. Granting them an asylum or not granting them asylum is redundant, because whatever the decision is, you can't give them back. So I think this thing about immigration needs to be understood on a different level. The difference in pressure, in economic pressure, between the rich world and the poor world, and all the wars and all the dictators are putting a immigration pressure that cannot be stopped by those kinds of laws. If I may talk about one thing, the famous wall that President Trump wanted to build and make Mexico pay for it, on top of the fact that it wasn't built, but it would be totally toothless. It wouldn't stop anybody at all.
Well, the crossings went down under the Trump administration, certainly compared to where they are now with the Biden administration.
And then exit
I take your
right.
point about the overall global movement of people because of economic conditions around the world. It's a huge, huge issue, this. Just in terms of people moving, it's a huge issue. Forget the laws around it. Really appreciate the call. Thank you very much indeed. 0345 6060 973. I mean, I just think if you coming to this afresh, having got back with your nice tan still glowing from your holiday in Egypt, but being told that someone whose asylum application has failed for a particular country can't be returned to Egypt because that country is not in whole a safe country.
Keep left.
Feels strange and probably requires a bit of explanation. Gabriel's a new caller in Oxford. Gabriel.
Hi Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, sir. You are Italian, so you have a stake in this.
Yeah, no, I am Italian now, and I agree with what Armando said in the previous call. I just find very, very strange. It sounds more like a political move to show that somebody is doing something about immigration rather than actually doing something that is going to be meaningful. So I find that saying, oh, we're going to take people away from the country, so they're not going to be a bother to you, and it's going to be all the kind of far-right people that are voting for right-wing governments, especially in Italy, because we know that's the case right now.
Is it far-right to say that you don't think that people who shouldn't be in the country shouldn't be there?
Well, I think there's definitely they made a political token these days more than it's become the political chant. Regardless whether there needs to be rules of immigration, I agree on that. But it's become, I can see that it was first for the northern people, the southern going up to the northern looking for jobs. That was the first kind of immigration that we did. There were Italians nonetheless, and now it becomes like people coming from Africa on boats.
Okay, so Gabriel, to go to the absolute heart of this, here you have a couple of guys. I mean, we're really talking about not even a handful of people here. In the first instance, about 9 people. Here you have people whose asylum application has been rejected. They are not able to claim asylum in Italy. Therefore, the Italian government wants to send them back to the country that they came from, in this case Bangladesh and Egypt, which they deem to be safe. Who should have the deciding factor in whether or not those countries are safe? The government or the courts?
That's a very good question. I think we have a European court at this point that should they should put a decision on whether deem that something is safe or not. I think it's beyond the Italian government deciding whether a country must be safe or not in that sense. I mean, if we have advisories on countries that aren't safe to go for travel, and we go there anyway. But there are advisories out.
But people go on holiday to Egypt in the area in which it's safe to go on holiday. Very few people will go to the red areas where it's not safe.
The people that get sent back to their countries, they don't go to resorts. That's the point.
Sure.
That's the whole point. So I think those areas are gated and well looked after because there's a business coming back. But those countries aren't safe.
But if the countries aren't safe for those people, because we're talking about safety for certain people, you're right. The tourists are safe, but the person being sent back there might not be. I agree with you. But in that case, why is their asylum claim being rejected? If they're literally not safe, if they're going to be persecuted or tortured or whatever in that country, why their asylum claim would in theory have passed, but in these cases it hasn't. Gabriel, thank you. 0345 6060 973. Back to your calls in just a moment. Business update now. Ben Kumar is here from 7IM. 7 Investment Management. Job losses, price hikes inevitable, according to the UK's biggest firms. Ben, we talked about this before. That would be their decision, though, would it not?
Yeah, it absolutely is their decision, but it's basically the cost of wages when it comes to national insurance and it comes to a higher minimum wage. So the example that I think maybe helps make it clear is that on average, pubs make about 12 pence profit per pint they sell, so about 2.5% profit. And if they have to increase national insurance, so part they pay to the government, by about 2% and increase minimum wages, you are making less and less profit. Your costs are going up. JD Sports and some of the supermarkets saying something very, very similar. But the thing that I think about all this is, I had assumed, perhaps naively, that Rachel Reeves had at least made it somewhat clear to businesses that there was going to be a bit of upfront pain. And yet it seems from all the reactions that everyone has been surprised by this in a really negative way. So there's definitely a little bit of politics or communication that didn't happen in the way that everyone thought it was going to, at least in the 2 months run up to the budget. That's what I've been thinking. If you spend 2 months telling people all about what's coming and then they're still surprised by it in a bad way, you haven't really done anything. What was the point?
Have they been listening, I guess, or are they playing politics with it?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question too, right? How often have taxes gone down for businesses?
Yeah.
And have you seen it in prices? Have you seen them cut prices?
Well, Tesco's, the profit Tesco's are making, I think they made over 2 billion quid, or forecast to make 2 billion quid this financial year. They can wear a £200 million a year increase to their national insurance costs.
Yeah, they absolutely, it is from profit. It's not as if they're going into bankruptcy. So there is a little bit of politics there that the companies are playing. But I do think there is something of a communication issue as well. But like I say, I go back to the point that when corporate taxes get cut, it's not as if things get cheaper or suddenly everyone gets a pay rise. But when they increase, everyone's told that they're no longer going to have a job. It feels like it's a bit one-sided.
Ben, appreciate it. Thank you. Ben Kumar from 7 Investment Management.
LBC Business Update.
With Who's Off? Now with Staff Hub and Document Storage.
You're listening to Tom Swarbrick on LBC. Coming up...
If you do not pay attention to your pension, you are not going to have a great life down the line.
This programme has been embarking on a self-defeating mission to make pensions sexy, and boy is today a good day. Rachel Reeves is going mega on pensions in order to kickstart growth in the UK. We'll bring you the details after this. 5:31, news headlines, Amelia Cox.
Harrods says it's aware of new serious allegations made against former owner Mohammed Al Fayed's brother, Salah Fayed. It's claimed he also abused women who worked at the luxury department store in London prior to his death. Sir Keir Starmer says the arrest of a man suspected of supplying boats used in channel crossings shows the government's approach is working. The Prime Minister claims working with international partners is bearing fruit following a joint operation involving Dutch and Belgian authorities. And the Chancellor is expected to set out plans for what she calls the biggest pension reform in decades this evening. In her first Mansion House speech, Rachel Reeves will say she wants to merge funds from councils and spend it on infrastructure investments. LBC weather, a clear night for north-east Scotland and central southern England and Wales. Cloudy in the northwest, lows of freezing.
LBC This Morning on Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
Get ready
to give a
turn
Gaza
right.
a home. A Labour MP has tabled a motion urging the government to launch a visa scheme for families in Gaza amid the ongoing conflict in the region. Michael and Sittingbourne.
Turn right.
Your bike, Nick. There's no way on earth we should be even considering taking these people in.
Dina's in Cheltenham.
I think it has been needed since this time last year. I think this government and the previous government's exceptionally selective in who they're helping.
Julia is in Hedgewick.
There are 22 Arab countries in the Middle East. Why they're not taking them?
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Back tomorrow morning from 7. Listen on your radio and on Global Player LBC.
I'm Dr. Andrew Darwood from the Darwood and Tanner Dental Practice. For over 30 years now, with co-founder Dr. Susan Tanner, we've assembled a dedicated and caring, multidisciplinary team of dental experts who are at the forefront of their field, all with just one purpose in mind: creating the most comprehensive, tailored and complete dental implant treatments to keep you smiling.
For more on dental implants and our full range of treatments, visit darwoodandtanner.co.uk.
Oi! Calling all young creatives. Kickstart your career in media. Apply now and join us in years 10 or 12 at Global Academy. globalacademy.com.
When you book with Premier Inn, you get more bang for your buck. So whether you're visiting the Farmers Fair to sample some of the country's finest bangers, seeing your favourite bands back with a bang reunion tour, or banging the drum for your new business at the Startup Expo,
Ladies and gents, gather round.
you'll get the same great value experience every time. Wherever you're going, whatever you do, do your thing and get great stays at great prices at PremierInn.com. Premier Inn, rest easy.
Dev knows stuff. Dev knows that National Express coaches take you right to the terminal door of major UK airports. Dev knows his seat will recline and his phone will be plugged in to charge. Dev knows that with airport fares from £5.70 one way, he'll have extra cash for fancy drinks with umbrellas. Dev also knows how to say, "Hello reception, there's a crab eating nuts in my minibar," in Spanish.
Comiendo nueces de mi minibar.
If you know, you go. Book now at nationalexpress.com, £1.50 booking fee.
Tom Swarbrick. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
5:34, Malk's in Bodmin on the old WhatsApp. Tom, bit of a surreal hour here. Look, we keep some asylum seekers and we send all economic migrants back. A public school and Oxbridge education really should enable you to grasp that concept. Well, even if one were to grasp it, Malcolm, the idea that those who have had their asylum claims rejected still cannot be sent back because the country that they're being sent to is not safe, according to the European Court of Justice, would I think drive a coach and horses to your simplicity, sir. It is unfortunately not as straightforward as that. 03456060973. Come back to your calls in just a moment. Next.
Pensions are sexy. Listen, who wants to struggle when they're the grand old age of retirement?
This show has embarked on a self-defeating mission to make pensions sexy. And today we are feeling really very hot under the collar. For today is the Mansion House Speech Day. The government has announced that in order to get growth going, they will create pension mega funds. 8, to be exact, a collection of the 90 local government pension pots that will, combined, again the government says, unlock £80 billion worth of investment potential.
Right, and then
McDougall is
exit
pensions
right.
correspondent at the Financial Times. Thanks for coming on, Mary. What is the issue that the government is hoping
right.
to resolve here?
Turn
thank
right.
you for having me on. The government desperately wants more investment in the UK economy. We had the budget last week, but it's very fiscally constrained. So it's looking to the pension industry, which has huge, huge sums of money, to see if it can get the pension industry to invest more in British productive assets. So that's British infrastructure, small growing British companies. So the hope is by consolidating this enormous industry that bigger funds will invest more in productive assets.
And at the moment, it seems that Rachel Reeves is targeting the pension funds of public sector workers, local government workers.
Yeah, there's two parts. So there's the local government pension scheme and there's defined contribution schemes. So they're targeting both. The local government pension scheme is enormous.
Keep left.
It provides the pension of 6 million local authority workers. They project it will have £500 billion of assets by 2030. So it's the
500 billion?
Yeah.
Wow.
It will be the 7th biggest pension scheme in the world if it was one.
The local government pension scheme of Britain will be the 7th biggest in the world.
Yeah, but it's currently administered across 86 different councils. So the pooling of these funds has started. The 8 pools that they're aiming for already exist, but only half of the assets are in the pools. So what Reeves is saying is, right, all the money has to be in the pools. These pools will have their own investment managers regulated by the FCA. They'll have pots of money of at least £50 million and hopefully then invest in lots of UK projects.
If I happen to be a worker in local government, am I going to be slightly concerned that the risk is piling up on my pension by the consolidation of all these pension pots?
I think you should be more concerned as the taxpayer. Because the way these schemes work, you're guaranteed your pension, and the government guarantees that, so you know how much you're going to get paid. But if the assets perform poorly, then the council has to pay more in, and that comes out on the taxpayer.
That's if the asset doesn't grow very well. They don't make good money on their investments. If you're managing one of these mega funds, why would you invest your money in a riskier British startup out of university, as the government would like you to do, rather than just go to America where their money is safer?
Well, they're still going to have money in America as well. Generally, the more risk you take, the higher my returns, because the government's being quite clear. They're not saying we're going to force you to do this, but generally where you're investing in infrastructure and local projects, you have more knowledge in your home market and you do it there. And they're setting targets of at least 5%. So there still will be investments in America.
Yeah, I guess my point is, Mary, I don't need my pension returns to be wrapped in a flag. You know, I don't care that the money is made through a British company. I just need to make money so to live.
Yeah.
So what is the incentive that the government is offering to these mega funds or these investment managers in these funds and other areas to say, right, back Britain now, please?
I think they're still working on that.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing they can do, they have. So you need to look at the two types differently. There's the local government schemes, which are defined benefit schemes, and they just need to pay out a fixed amount, and then the defined contribution schemes, which they're also looking at to create mega funds, which want to get the highest returns possible. The government could, they haven't made a decision on this yet, but for these defined contribution schemes, you do get tax reliefs for investing in a pension. So the government could say, you need to invest more in Britain because we're giving you this tax privilege.
So there's incentives the government could lay down but have not yet made clear.
Yes.
Well, let's see how Rachel Reeves' speech goes this evening. Mary, thank you very much indeed. Mary McDougall, pensions correspondent at the Financial Times. Folks, this is, for want of a better phrase, big potatoes. Because Rachel Reeves her career is pinned on, and the government's viability at the next election, I think, is pinned on growth. If they can't get growth going, the country, as well as I think the political future of the government, is screwed.
Keep right,
and
then exit right.
Budget wasn't the previous budget was. And Rachel Reeves is pinning quite a lot of growth on getting pension funds
exit
with deep pockets to pile some of that money into British startups.
Okay, let's find a new route.
I know this because we had her on the show when she was Shadow Chancellor talking about it, from a man called Sir Martin Bell, who has been involved in the creation of some very interesting companies that are spilt out of Oxford University, and has said that this country is in the unfortunate position of being capitalist without any capital. No one's got enough money to spend on these startup firms, to build them, to increase them, to create the next Facebook in Newcastle rather than Silicon Valley. We're just not got the money. The Americans have got the money. That's why these startups all flee to America. That's why people list in America. They don't list it because no one's got any cash. If you find the cash, you get them to invest in it. The problem is getting them to. How are they going to do it? And is it worth the risk? 03456060973. Let's come back to your calls on migration.
Finding a new route.
Simon.
Yes, I think that the danger here is we're caught up and trapped within this European cult, and so therefore we have a choice. If you're coming to another country, your application has been refused on the grounds that it doesn't meet the criteria, then you go, as far as I'm concerned, and sorry to have to say this, but you go back to the country you came from, regardless of the safety. We're not a dumping ground for people to come to. Now,
okay, let's find a new route.
If I can just finish that. If you're on the run and
go
you're
straight on.
escaping persecution and your life is in danger, the danger of being executed, tortured or imprisoned, that is different. Therefore, but then on that basis, I would say, yes, of course we welcome people like that. And I think the only way we can get around this, and you might find my comments draconian, is by having a Bill of Rights, an English Bill of Rights. We remove ourselves from European court, or we heavily amend it. Have a British Bill, which was promised, by the way, you'll know this yourself, by David Cameron in 1111. And therefore, we make the decision through the court. If the final decision rests on the fact that that person may be suspected of terrorist or criminal activity, then the Home Secretary can have the final word.
Never mind. I'll find a new route.
I think Simon, the
go
issue
straight
here
on.
Specifically is the fact that the asylum application of these people was rejected. So they are not in the case of in the adjudication of those who are handing out asylum seekers. They are not judged as needing to be saved from persecution or torture, yet they cannot be sent back to countries where persecution and torture do sometimes happen, which is a bit faster.
That's my point. I think we're having ourselves about these decisions made by faceless bureaucrats. None of them
set up an English Bill of Rights where we control and decide who comes in and who doesn't.
Well, that's the position put forward by people like Robert Jenrick when he was running to be leader of the Conservative Party. It is not the position, as I understand it currently, of Kelly Badenoch, and certainly not of Keir Starmer, quite the opposite from the Labour government. Simon, thank you. Anders is in Vienna. Hi, Anders.
Hey, I think you got the wrong end of the stick. There is presently no legislation before the ECJ regarding the Italian migrant case you're referring to. I think what you're referring to is the separate case regarding passport forgery. And that they just delivered judgment on that. But with regards to Italy, I mean, what you have in Italy is you have a three-part... Oh, sorry, because I thought you had a three-part, because what you're saying right now with regards to the Italian migrants in Albania is that the ECJ has been asked for questions with regards to that, because there's a difference of opinion, a three-way difference of opinion with regards to what is impact a safe country. And that's a question of like jurisdiction.
Yeah, well, the Italian government are